In the ancient world, stories were more than entertainment. They were maps, maps of the soul, of fear, of the mysteries buried beneath the earth. But among all ancient Greek stories, one stands unrivaled in its power and melancholy. The story of a man who did the impossible, a mortal who crossed the boundary between life and death and walked back again. His name was Orpheus.
Orpheus is remembered today as a mythological hero, a musician whose songs could move mountains. But to the ancient Greeks, Orpheus was more than legend. He was a cultural ancestor. Poets claimed he lived generations before the Trojan War. Philosophers believed he founded mystery cults. Historians linked him to real tribes of Thrace, where shamanic rituals involved symbolic journeys to the afterlife. In the 6th century BC, long after his supposed life, Orpheus's teachings formed a religious movement, Orphism, a belief system centered on the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. To understand Orpheus, we must first understand what he meant to the Greeks, a man whose voice could reach the divine. Orpheus's story truly begins with Eurydice, his bride. The poets describe their love as pure, sudden, and overwhelming. But tragedy arrived just as quickly. Shortly after their wedding, Eurydice wandered through a meadow. A serpent struck her. She died instantly. In most Greek myths, the living accept death as final. Even heroes cannot cross that line. But Orpheus refused to accept the rule of the world. He took his lyre. He walked toward the entrance to the underworld, and he kept walking. Ancient Greeks believed that the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead existed in several real locations. The caves of Epirus, the volcanic vents of Italy, the dark springs of the Peloponnese. For the Greeks, these were not metaphors, these were portals. As Orpheus descended, the world darkened, the air chilled. He entered a realm where no mortal had ever returned from. According to the myth, even the tormented spirits stopped to listen. The Furies lowered their whips. Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, sat in silence. The entire realm paused. For the first time in eternity, Hades and Persephone granted mercy. The rulers of the dead agreed to release Eurydice, but they demanded one thing. Orpheus must lead her out without looking back. He must trust completely. For the Greeks, this was not a test of obedience. It was a test of faith. In a world governed by fate, trust was the ultimate sacrifice. Orpheus walked upward, the light growing brighter with every step. Behind him, he could hear Eurydice's faint footsteps. But doubt slowly consumed him. At the very last moment, just before the surface, he turned. In a breath, Eurydice vanished forever. Orpheus staggered into the world of the living alone. He wandered Greece, singing songs so sorrowful that mountains wept. He refused to remarry. He rejected all earthly pleasures. Some versions say he founded mystery cults that taught the secrets of life after death. His end came violently. In Thrace, a group of Maenads, female followers of Dionysus, tore him apart in a frenzy. His head, still singing, floated down a river to the island of Lesbos. There the people built a shrine to him, believing that prophetic voices echoed from the earth, where his head was buried. But where does myth end and history begin? Archaeologists have found caves where ancient rituals mimicked death and rebirth. Scholars discovered inscriptions that matched Orphic beliefs about the soul. Even Plato referenced Orpheus's teachings. For the ancients, Orpheus was more than a character. He was a window into how the Greeks imagined the afterlife, how they processed grief, and how they believed music could touch the divine. The story of Orpheus is not about gods or otherworldly powers. It is about something much more human: love, loss, doubt, and the finality of death. Orpheus walked into the afterlife not because he was a hero, but because he was a husband who could not accept goodbye. And in that, he remains one of the most human figures of the ancient world.